Budapest was our 11th stop on the trip, and it was absolutely amazing. We saw some great nature, we went to some nice bars, and we did a lot of relaxing. We arrived in town before we could check into our Airbnb, so we used the time to go to a market that was right near where we were staying. The market was absolutely awesome, and we decided that we would come back in order to buy food to cook dinner because the Airbnb we were at had quite the nice kitchen and we hadn't cooked a meal together in a while. After getting fueled up and realizing that we'd purchased the wrong kind of meat, we headed out on a private walking tour which was presented by Dr. Wang. This synagogue was absolutely beautiful, but it was also super expensive to get in, like 30 euros or something like that. The highlight of Sean's walking tour was the Michael Jackson tree. It was probably the best thing we saw the whole trip. Shoes on the Danube River is in honor of the Jews which were murdered by the fascist Hungarian militia during World War II. We ended the evening on Margaret Island, and then Sean, Panit, and I went out for a late-night drink. The next day, we went to the Széchenyi thermal baths, where we had a much-needed day of relaxation. The pools were great, and the food wasn't too expensive. It was definitely pretty busy, but the sun was out the whole time, so we couldn't really complain. The tour package that we had gotten from Dr. Wang Enterprises was actually a multi-day walking tour, so after the thermal baths we continued that while getting prepared to go to a really cool bar that evening. We had actually tried to go to this bar the night before, but we accidentally went to the place next door because we thought it was closed.
We'll watch it together.
Yeah, you should watch together so you can...
The next day, we had signed up for a 2-hour free walking tour, which didn't go quite as expected because the regular tour guide was out with COVID, so the 2-hour tour ended up being 30 minutes. The guide was still very kind, and we learned some interesting things here and there, but my mind was focused on climbing the mountain very close to where we were staying, as it seemed like it had a nice view of all of Budapest. The view was definitely worth it in the end, but it took quite a bit of work to get there, as the top of the mountain was closed for repairs, so we had to scurry along the outer ledge of the railing in order to see the view. After hiking the mountain as well as the walking tour, we were pretty exhausted, so we decided to head back to the Airbnb in order to prepare to go early to this really neat bar in Budapest that the night before we had gone to, but the line was huge, so we went early to make sure that we could get in. We got in, and it was definitely worth it.
That's a cool area in there too, though. We can ask.
They are called ruin bars, and the drinks were good, and Sean enjoyed his food. The following day, we weren't leaving until later on in the evening. So we decided to spend another day relaxing and went to another thermal bath, which was very close to our Airbnb. This bath was absolutely amazing. The other one had this weird smell inside. This one did not at all. The inside was amazing. There was this really hot sauna, some really cold pools, and this was one of my favorite days on the whole trip. It was so relaxing and rejuvenating. We were quite excited, but also a little bit nervous to get to our next location, as it was the first flight that we had to take since we flew into mainland Europe from London. We were also meeting Keyshawn at the airport in Athens, and then staying in the airport overnight before flying to Santorini in the morning. So there were a lot of things that had to go right. Budapest was absolutely amazing, and making this video really reminded me of that. I can't wait to get back there. On to Greece.